Welcome back to the Padilla Family Homestead. Today we are going to be in the kitchen making gluten-free and dairy-free peppermint brownies that are delicious. The dairy-free was kind of on accident, but I kind of rolled with it at the end and it was good. It was very, very good. These brownies though require me to make some coffee. So I am going to unbox. I was going to show you guys. We get our coffee pods from Angelino's. Now, I do pour over coffee sometimes. A lot of the times though, we end up doing the Keurig because I have to have decaf for the most part. My daughter sometimes drinks decaf, sometimes drinks half calf, and sometimes drinks caffeinated. My husband is fully caffeinated, and so me making a pot of the pour over, it's not always worth it to me. Sometimes I'm just busy doing something. I just need a cup of coffee, and I don't want to pour the whole thing if we're all drinking something different. So Angelino's makes it great. I order in bulk from them. In the past, I've ordered 8 boxes. This is the largest I've ordered. It's 12 boxes. My last order was in August, and it is middle of November when I'm recording this. So it lasts. It does. So we got 12, so we should be good till, my guess is January or early February with all this coffee, even if we have people over and so forth. So I'm going to show you what I got from them and some of our favorites, and then I'll tell you some of our favorites we didn't get because I can't have caffeine right now. And then I will start brewing this coffee. So Angelino's, when I looked up their quality, they are not certified organic, but they have organic practices from what I can tell. And the coffee is amazing. So the more you buy, the cheaper each pod is individually. They have limited editions where that doesn't affect the price at all. But their regular coffee, they have in pods, and they have in whole bean or ground for you to order and do in a coffee pot if you want. And I have a referral link. I'll put it below. This is not in any way sponsored by them. It's literally just what we use. We've used it for years and we love it. So I'm sharing it. I have a referral link that I'll put in the comments. I think it gives you $10 off. I'll correct that if that's not right. I'll put it on the screen. I think it gives you $10 off a purchase. And then it gives me $10 towards a purchase. So it kind of benefits everybody. But I'll put that in the description below. I got a lot of repetitive coffees this time around because my husband likes a very particular few coffees, and I pretty much in the decaf realm really like one of the coffees. So those are what I got, but we have other favorites. So like in March, they have this Irish cream limited edition coffee that is amazing, absolutely amazing. And then they have a blueberry coffee and a coconut macaroon coffee and maple coffee, cinnamon coffee. They just have all kinds of stuff. And so it's great to mix it up for the flavors. I know in spring I would do the coconut and blueberry a lot. And then in the winters, like the cinnamon and the maple are amazing. It's just good. It's all good. Okay, let's see if we got everything here. Mocha Java. And this is the one I have to brew, actually. So, did I do it right? I did. All right, so we got 5 of the decaf Jamaican Me Crazy. This is a medium roast, and it has it's a melody of caramel, vanilla, and chocolate flavors. This is my favorite. It was my favorite in caffeinated and in decaf, so I'm happy that they have it in both. I have 5 of those to get me through. Each of these boxes has 24 pods in it, so this is going to last quite a while. And then I got my daughter the half calf Colombian and then a decaf dark roast because I've been out of my Jamaican Me Crazy the last week and I've been drinking her dark roast. So I made sure to get her this. She doesn't drink as much and she can drink any of them. So I get her some of the dark roast, some of the half calf, and she's here half the time. So it works for us. Then for my husband, he got 5 boxes as well. And I got him 2 donut shop and 2 mocha java. I want to say I think the mocha java is his favorite. Is that right, husband? Yeah? Okay. The mocha java is his favorite. It has Ethiopia, Yemen, and Java in Indonesia origins. It's full-bodied with nutty and chocolate notes. So it's very good. I had a sip of it. I like it. This is actually the one we're using in our brownie mix today. So I'm going to get these put away. I'm going to get a pod brewed for the brownies. I need to let it cool. So I'm going to get this made, get these put away, and then let that coffee cool down. Give my husband the rest of the coffee. I'm just taking 3 tablespoons out. And then we'll be back to make these brownies. Okay, so all the coffee's put away. It's our 3 tablespoons of coffee and sitting here pretty much cooled down. We're going to go ahead and get started. Now you're going to need a bowl for the dry ingredients. It doesn't need to be a mixing bowl. This is what's handy right now. So I'm going to put my dry ingredients in there. I'm going to put my wet ingredients in here. We will be mixing it all in here. Well, mostly wet ingredients because there's a trick to this that I have found. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first ingredient we're going to need is vanilla sugar. If for some reason you don't have vanilla sugar, use regular sugar. I'm actually running low on my vanilla sugar. I've already gone through my reserve jar and I keep adding it into here. So pretty soon it'll just be regular sugar. To make my life easier, because we're at the end of this, I am going to go ahead and pour this into here and pick out those beans so I can measure out of this. Now I'm going to have this full recipe on my blog, so make sure you check the description below for the recipe. I think that's it. So it'll be available on the blog. It's also going to be in a cute PDF printable in my upcoming Christmas gluten-free ebook. So that was 1/4 cup. And a half. Just a little bit more. Half. So 1 1/4 cups. I'll pour that back in there for now and have to revamp this. Okay, so the next ingredient that's going in here are 2 large eggs. Just basic eggs you get at the grocery store, or if you have chickens, use those eggs. I've already float tested them. That's why they're in the measuring cup. I do have my oven preheating to 325 currently. So we can get that started. So the next thing we're going to need is the 3 tablespoons of cold coffee. And we'll need a half a cup of avocado oil. Half, yeah. All this baking, I'm going through my oil a lot faster. I've been trying out a bunch of recipes, so I'm trying to make sure I get all the right things in here in the right orders. So I'm going to have a half a teaspoon of peppermint extract. I just got the McCormick's peppermint extract. So half a teaspoon of that. And then I use a whole teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is homemade vanilla extract. If you want to know about vanilla extract or vanilla sugar, I do have videos on those that I'll make sure I tag in the show notes below. Oven's preheated. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla. In case anybody's into vanilla beans, I am using the Papua New Guinea vanilla beans because that's what extract I'm working through right now. This is also great with, oh my gosh, the Mexican cured vanilla beans are amazing. And so are just the Madagascar, just regular Bourbon Island ones. So good, but these are doing good for brownies and cookies and things. All right, so that's all of our liquid. Yep, I didn't miss anything. So what I'm going to do, oh, I did miss something. I missed a vanilla bean. That's not going back in the sugar. All right, so what I'm going to do is just mix this all up. And the reason why I have the sugar in here right now is I found I like the texture of the brownie better when the sugar has a minute to dissolve. It doesn't need to be all dissolved. It doesn't need to be perfect. But if it has a minute while I'm working on the dry ingredients, then I liked that texture better than I liked it just putting the sugar in with the dry ingredients. And I'm using organic cane sugar. You could use white sugar. Just know that whatever ingredients you're putting in, you need to check and see on everything, the quality of it and so forth, and it changes the quality of the brownie. The one thing I will say is obviously the flour we're going to use is a gluten-free flour, and I'm not using butter because I made it dairy-free. It's all avocado oil. Okay, so that's good. So just know what you put in can change the results of this. So we're going to go ahead and start on our dry ingredients. Because they're here, I'm going to put these in first. I already pre-measured out. I have mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. These are allergen. They don't have dairy in them, and they don't have gluten at all. And then the white chocolate chips are also allergen friendly. Both of these I get from Azure Standard. They cost a little bit more than the cheap chips that you buy at the store, but there's way less ingredients and they're better for you. I like the white chocolate chips baked inside of things or added to things. I don't like them by themselves if I were just to sit there and eat them as a snack. So I did a 1/4 cup of each. If you want one over the other, do a 1/2 cup of one. But it's a 1/4 cup of white chocolate and a 1/4 cup of mini chocolate chips. And then we are going to use 3/4 of a cup of gluten-free flour. I'm using the Bob's Red Mill. And then I'm going to need a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar and 2/3 cup cacao powder. I use the cacao powder because it's actually less sweet than cocoa powder. It's not as processed. It has, there's a lot more health benefits to using it. I'll list some of them in the blog post on why we choose to use that. But you could substitute it for cocoa powder. Just know that it is probably going to be a little bit sweeter. It's going to change the consistency a little bit, the flavor. I really suggest using cacao. It's really good. That's what we use in the hot chocolate that we make. So we're using all kinds of stuff now. Okay, so I'm using 1/8 of a cup measuring cups. That was a 1/4. 3/8 and a 1/2. Now I found that I like sifting this portion. I didn't do it once and I didn't like it as much. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sift it. This won't take a super long time. Whatever side you tap on is the side that this is going to try to come up to. And so if I tilt it, it's sliding up this way, but it's not hitting that edge. Okay, I don't need to get it totally out because now I need to do the cacao. And again, to make my life easier, I got a different bowl this time. And I am going to scoop out some of this cacao into the measuring cup because my measuring cup doesn't fit inside this narrow mouth jar. I will say in the future, any of my baking stuff like this will be in wide mouth jars. I'm not going to do this narrow mouth thing again because it makes it really hard to get everything out. Now I actually have a 2/3 measuring cup, so I'm just going to put that in there and I'll redump that stuff into the, I'll do it right now. There's very little extra. I got that in good. There goes the powdered sugar. Okay, so I'm going to get this all sifted through. All right, so the last thing we need is 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to mix this all together. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it somewhat combined. I'm going to clean up these things really fast to get them out of my way. Okay, so I'm going to bring over my sugar and liquid mixture, and I'm just going to re-stir this so the sugar's not all settled at the bottom. Nothing crazy. We really don't want to over stir this at this point when we mix everything, but we do want to get it kind of mixed in. So I'm going to take and I'm going to slowly add and stir. So this is, you just want to stir it until it is combined and there aren't like a bunch of pockets of dry brownie mix in there. But you don't want to like over process this or over stir it. You could add other fun things into here, like I'm sure you can add like candy cane pieces or mint chocolate chips or whatever in here, right? I mean, Andy's mints would probably be really good, but I really wanted to make something with ingredients that you can get pretty much any time of the year that are all allergen friendly, and trying to stay away from that red dye number 40 as much as possible. All right, so that's all mixed in. I'm going to let that sit for a minute while I get the baking pan ready. I know, I'm using a glass pie dish, not a square pan that most people use for brownies, but I like this. I use this for all kinds of things. And I can do a couple of fun things with this, which we'll talk about. So this is not going to stay well. So what do? Crinkle it up like you're going to throw it away. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle like you throw it away. And then it stays. At that point, it stays pretty much wherever you want it. Now, the trick to brownies, delicious, moist, chewy brownies, is butter in the pan. But we're doing this dairy-free, so we can't do that. So the trick then becomes avocado oil. And not doing too much avocado oil, but not too little as well. So we want about a tablespoon or two. And what we're going to do is kind of swirl that around on the parchment paper. 3 tablespoons was too much, just a little too much. So a tablespoon or 2 should be plenty. And it's going to look weird when we put it in here, but the parchment helps it stop sticking to the glass dish. It will make cleanup so much easier. Just trust me, don't do it without parchment. But do not use wax paper. Wax paper, the wax will melt in the oven and soak into your food. So parchment paper with some avocado oil. And if you've ever made focaccia before, you use oil in the pan and it kind of bubbles up and it helps make the edges kind of crispier, and then it like absorbs into the mixture, into the bread. The same concept is going to happen for this little bit of avocado oil. So what we'll do is we'll pour the mixture in, and you're going to see as I'm pouring this in, the oil is pushing to the edges. It's not just staying put. And so what it looks like when you put it in here is that there is too much oil, but there's not. Just trust the process. I freaked out a couple times doing this, going, oh my gosh, this is going to be such an oily mess. And it's really not. Even when I had the 3 tablespoons of oil, there was still oil on the parchment paper. It didn't absorb completely, but it wasn't like the brownies were horrible. I think that the 1 to 2 is the best. Get all this goodness out. Because we're in a round thing here, I want to get my parchment fixed over here. So you're going to see, I think you can see, this like rim of oil right here. It's going to be okay. Just trust me, it's not going to be gross. This is just like putting butter into your pan. So now this is going to go into the oven at 325 for 40 to 55 minutes. Now I'm saying 40 to 55 minutes because if you use a different shaped pan than I do, all the things that can change your cook time. So you need to be checking it. This takes closer to the 50 to 55 minutes. This is a 9.5-inch pie pan. I'm doing the pie pan because I can do squares if I want to, but I can also do it in pie slices. And so you have these little brownie wedges that would be great with some vanilla ice cream. So that's why I'm doing it this way, because I have a choice on how I want it. I don't mind these little crispy edges. Some of us like the crispy edges more than the center. So like over here, somebody's going to have more of a crispy edge than the squares in the center. So if you want to do the square baking pan, absolutely do that. Still use the parchment, still use the oil. But you just need to pay attention to when it is ready. And so we're going to cook it until most of the toothpick comes out clean. If the toothpick has come out totally clean, then it's probably going to be overcooked a little bit. So you want like a little bit of the dough to come off, but you don't want it to be like liquidy like this on the toothpick. You want it to be like muffin mixture coming out on the toothpick. So we're going to get this in the oven. We're going to have it in the center of the oven for this will take about 50 minutes, and we will be back to see it when it's done and show you what it looks like then, and then after it's cooled, we'll try it. Okay, we are done and the brownies are out. We're going to let them cool. Now, I did something silly, and it always happens when you're recording. This is what happens. I forgot to set the timer. So I kept poking to see where I was because I wasn't sure where I was. And I could show you the history of the toothpicks here. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Let's see if you can see these. Let's scoot you over a little bit. So these have a whole lot of stuff on them. And then this one has just chunks. Like you can still see the color of the wood through it. That's kind of what you're looking for. So now at this point, that's what comes out, which is good. So now this is going to sit. It's going to cool, and then we can cut it and try it. But you do want to let it sit and cool. And what's nice about using the parchment is once it's cooled, then we can just pop it out if we want to and put it onto something else and display it and cut it that way. You don't actually have to cut it in the pie dish if you don't want to. So we'll be back as soon as this is cooled down and cut it open and try it. Okay, so it's not completely cool, but it is cool enough to start slicing it up. So I'm going to take it out of the pan. And look, easy dishes. We love that. Alright, so I'm going to take this bench scraper and I'm actually going to use this to cut the brownies. You can use a knife if you want to, which might be good on these edges. I'm going to do varying sizes. Just want to eat the crust. Mmm. Okay. This tastes very good. Probably should have let it cool just a little bit more. But man, is it delicious. And there we have beautiful, moist, delicious, chewy brownies that are falling apart because they're still hot. But these are so, so, so good. You need to make some. Don't they look amazing? What's good is they taste just as amazing. They are cooked all the way through. They're moist, they're delicious, they're chewy. Mmm. These are very rich, and you can have that the underlying peppermint flavor. It's not overpowering. It's just really, really good. The coffee, the vanilla, the peppermint, it all just adds to it. And it's not overly sweet because we use the cacao instead of cocoa powder. So I definitely suggest trying these. These would be a great addition to any holiday gathering or decorating your Christmas tree or whatever it is that you're doing. Or maybe you just want a special treat. These are delicious. So good. Okay, so I need to let these cool down. I'm actually going to experiment with freezing some of them after they're cooked because we have been testing brownie recipes and we can't keep eating brownies all the time. We'll see you guys on the next one.